Well, hey ho, everybody. Welcome back to the Square the Circle Music Channel. That's right, you're back. And it's me again, your pal, your host, Major. That's right. Sitting over here in the greater part of the Pacific Northwest here in Eugene, Oregon, to be quite specific. Um, Things are going all right. How you guys doing? Well, hey, while I got you here, I wanted to go over a little topic of conversation, if I may. Give me a little bit of your time. I'll give you 2 cents of all of my BS opinions. But no, this isn't really an opinion piece, so to speak. This is going to be a little helpful bit of information that I'd like to share with everybody in the world. So hey, guys, I'll shoot you straight. I've been collecting records for a long time too, just like all of you guys. Maybe some of you have only been collecting records for a very short period of time. That's fine. We're all the same. We're all, children of the cosmos here at the Square the Circle Music Channel, where we like to talk about circles and squares and record collecting and music appreciation, all sorts of wonderful things. So I've been seeing lots of interesting things pop up on the YouTubes these days. And there's lots of folks that like to talk about losing the magic, losing the itch, or whatever, however you want to phrase it. The feelings kind of start to dwindle, and they start to it starts to lose its luster sometimes with people. Maybe they get discouraged. Maybe they, it can definitely take its toll on your wallet, so to speak. Or maybe people dove in a little bit too deep and didn't realize like how, enveloping and, just wild the whole thing is. It's a pretty, a pretty involving hobby. And so, yeah, I've just been seeing all of these little pop-ups on the YouTubes about like, has it lost all of its fun? Has it lost all of its, interesting this and that? And ironically, a lot of these videos that pop up are from really, really, quite famous YouTubers that have just like, tens of thousands of followers. And these are guys and people that own record stores, like successful business people that own their own record store. And so and I'm not trying to be any type of like elitist or jerk or anything. I'm just, it seems like there's kind of a one-sided opinion coming at people about this. And like I said, ironically, these are folks that have like the means and the ability to just be able to buy and well, just, I guess, acquire, thousands and thousands of records in their collection. And so I guess it's kind of like, yeah, no, duh, dude. No wonder it's losing its fun, because you just kind of made it more than just a fun hobby. You made it like kind of a way of life and a business. And so it kind of like goes without saying that that's inevitable. But for us, every man, every people, it happens too, and I've struggled with that. And I've had bouts of it kind of losing its magic and losing its fun. Not entirely, but it kind of dwindles and it kind of gets a little bit, cumbersome sometimes. And you got to like, re-spark that fire. And so, yeah, that's the reason for this whole little episode that I'm sharing with you guys tonight. I wanted to give you all some tips on how to keep the spark alive in your relationship with collecting records. Just, little bits and pieces of just my humble opinion here, and things that you can do to kind of like have a little bit of extra fun with your record collecting. And so, yeah, I'll stop jibber jabbering and I'll just get into my fun little list. So pardon me while my eyes wander, because I made myself a little list of notes here. So I'm going to be kind of like, going from top to bottom on you here. But you can bear with it, right? So yeah, like I said, here's 11 tips to help you folks kind of like, keep the spirit alive in your collecting. This was a really fun list to make. First on my list, like I said, this is 11 tips. There's no real like specific order to this. It's just kind of like a big mixed bag all thrown at you all at once. Like I said, coming from a person who has been collecting for many decades now, and I've got all types of, interests and influences. And so you'll kind of see like that's what a lot of this involves. It's kind of like broadening your horizons. That's kind of like the underlying element of this little thing we're going to do here. So first and foremost on my list is, of course, you hear me talk about this emphatically, and lots of other YouTubers talk about this all the time. Buy thrifty. Go to thrift stores, secondhand stores, whatever, garage sales. Get on, if any of you people do the Facebook Marketplace or the Craigslist or what have you, like that's a great place to just kind of like jump off and just, you know, it gives you those exciting thrills that you've always loved about going and finding, you know, a gem in your record store, and it just multiplies that by 1,000 because you have all of these individual buyers and places you can go where you can just find really magic stuff. Go for the weird stuff. You know, when you're fishing through the bins at St. Vincent de Paul or whatever, like just go ahead and buy that weird ass thing. It's only $3. Like you might be pleasantly surprised. And for me personally, that's always been a huge part of the magic, is just kind of pulling out all these weird things that you would normally just kind of like gloss over. And like sometimes you'll be surprised and you'll really find yourself getting, you know, all head over heels over this new genre or this new artist or just this new kind of kitschy cool thing that you discover. You know, it's a really fun way to do it. And you know, when I say buy thrifty, I know this is kind of like a stretch, but even when you're at your local record store and you're going through the used stuff, like just be okay. I know we're all not well off, you know, and some of us have money, some of us don't. I sure shit don't have any money, you know, but even still, I can bring myself to kind of drop like $5 to $6 on something that I know nothing about. Don't be afraid to do that. It's $6, big deal. And if you're not happy with that Avant Jazz record that you just bought blindly, like give it to somebody as a gift that you know enjoys Avant Jazz. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like that's the fun of all this, and that's what helps keep that fire alive, you know? So there's a good one on the list for you. Let's see, next on the list, I'm gonna lose track here, so pardon me while I try to get the numbers in my head, but number 10 on the list, try this. I tried it and I had a lot of fun with it. And again, it did kind of like gave me some more vigor. It kind of reinvigorated my love for just kind of like the collecting itch, like the acquiescence of it. Like what you folks that need to have like, you know, full collects of artists, like you need to have all of the Zeppelin albums or all of the whatevers, you know what I mean? This is a good thing to kind of like dive into because it's a little bit meatier. When you have selective artists, most of the time they never really have more than, say, you know, 7 to 20 albums. So I mean, even a 20 album, you know, catalog of a band, that can be a project. But try a catalog collect, an entire catalog. Find something that you gravitate toward, may it be a genre or an artist or what have you, and dig into that record label and kind of get online and just look at the checklist and see if it's something that's like maybe manageable. Like I said, I've done that in recent past, and I've managed to acquire an entire catalog. You can see it right there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm two records shy of like I think a 95 to 100 piece catalog that I've been piecing together over the last few years. But it's been a lot of fun because I try to find this stuff in the wild, you know, and try to just kind of like come across it and make sure I'm not like going straight to Discogs or eBay and just getting all these and pouring all my money into it. That's no fun. I mean, to me, that's not really any fun. Just spending money and having it mailed to my house. Like, yeah, the first 3 times I had a record mailed to my house was kind of exciting. Everyone likes to open packages, you know, but it's way more fun and enlivening when you stumble across it in one of your many local record shops or a bargain bin or some dum-dum that you find on Craigslist or whatever, you know. So try that. Try a catalog collect. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, there's that. Number 9 on the list. What did I put here? Oh yeah, try being a vendor. Try it. I know there's a lot of kind of like, you know, under the surface kind of like distaste and kind of a little bit of like mild hate for the type of guys and girls that flip, flippers. And it's like, I watched another one of those like, famous YouTuber guys, like kind of like picking apart flipping as opposed to just kind of like getting things at MSRP and whatever, the whole game of being a businessman. I get that. I'm certainly no businessman, but give it a shot. It's a lot of fun because it also brings you into that community of like-minded nerds. You're surrounded by them. Find out when your local record shows are. And if you've got a whole bunch of stuff on the shelves, like I always inevitably do, just like it's not getting played, it's gathering dust, or maybe you just did pick it up at a thrift store with the intention of just flipping it, just do it, man. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing it for years and years and years. And a lot of times I kind of gravitate back to the same few record shows because I love the people and I love the environment, and it is so much fun. Even just take one box. Nobody looks down their nose or whatever. Nobody gets like hoity-toity with you when you only just have one box. They still want to dig through your box, and you're still going to make $100. You know what I mean? It's fantastic. It's super duper fun. And even besides just being a local vendor, like, polish your stuff up, the stuff you don't listen to, or the stuff doesn't have a lot of like sentimental feeling to you, and dude, get a Discogs store. It's also a lot of fun, and you can make yourself some pretty good money with that stuff that maybe you're just not attached to, and you can let it go. And if you get in the swing of it, the business person in you kind of like takes over, and you're like, oh, this is kind of fun, slinging records on the internet. There's nothing wrong with it. It's super fun. So give it a try. Okay, see, I've already lost count in my head. Where are we? Probably number 8 or something like that. Number 8. This is a fun one. This is a cool one. This is not for everybody because not everyone gets into this hobby because of the technical aspect of it. People just like to listen to music sometimes. Some people that's the only reason they're in it, is because they want to have something to show their friends and put it on, and they want everyone to think they're cool. And I get that, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's precisely why I got into it. Because I remember, almost 20 years ago now, some dude just came over with a box of shitty old records, and he, brought his turntable with him and moved up from California, and we just hit it off, and I was just like, this is so for me. I just love this. And of course I collected when I was a little kid. Not a little kid, but I mean, when I was in my youth, teenage years, I always had like some records that I was gifted, that were gifted from my parents. But I was always into, buying other stuff, and never wanted to like put the money into getting like a good record player and this and that and that. But anyway, I'm babbling again. Focus on the tech if you want. And that makes it so much fun. And it's something to kind of like take you outside of just the, getting the pieces of records sometimes. Just like focus, if you have the money to kind of toss around, or if you're a good horse trader, like that's the only thing that's gotten me through, is I find a way to do just everyday horse trading. You know what I mean? I sell something around my house, a piece of furniture that I haven't used, that I know I could get $100 for a piece of furniture, and put that in the bank, and then do that once or twice, or save a couple of bucks every month, and you can buy yourself a freaking Marantz receiver. You know what I mean? Focus on the tech. There are fantastic, modestly priced record players on there, and all these folks, man, I swear, you don't have to settle for $100 record player from Best Buy. You don't. You really don't. There's all sorts of independent, magnificent companies online. Just research them. Just research turntables under $300, and you will find some $289, $389, mid-range $400. That's still like lower mid-range, $400, $500. But it's worth it, especially when you are able and willing, and you research and do a little bit of kind of like studying, and get a great cartridge. I recommend, what I spin on is the Nagaoka MP150. That's kind of like, you're getting to be kind of like very lower middle range cart again, but you can find them online, shipped straight from Japan for just under like $400. And, do your research. Like I said, not all of these cartridges are going to, be compatible with whatever else you're using, your turntable. but just spend a little bit of time enveloping yourself and learning this interesting tech and how it all works. It's freaking magic. It's magic. Phonograph. it is absolute magic how it works. But yeah, do some research, find a great turntable, and then into your back end, find yourself a great receiver. That's also where a vast majority of the magic lies. Especially if you need something to kind of like fill a room. Not everyone's the same. I have a tiny, tiny space. Most people in their listening spaces, they have small listening spaces. But, if you want to throw a party and you have a big enough house, you got to get yourself a powerful amp, something to receive that signal and really, really amplify it. And you got to have a good set of speakers to fill up the space in the room. So, yeah, that's all I can say about that, I guess. Just, spend some time and focus on the craft of like how this science works. It's amazing and it's really, really fun. And again, like I said, it kind of takes you out of the element of just kind of like collecting the individual pieces of music and just take a break from it for a little bit and learn something else new about this magnificent hobby. Okay, probably number 7, somewhere 6, something like that. We're talking about, kind of a more, I guess, kind of just like a personal kind of like way of just kind of like reconfigure your mindset a little bit when it comes to the type of music that you always listen to, or maybe you profess yourself to be very eclectic and you have, wild tastes. And I always thought about that, that about myself. And I'm like, man, there's so much out there. I just said, take stigmas about genres and artists and things and just toss them aside for a while. Suspend your whatever, your idea of what you may or may not like. And you may surprise yourself. And people change, and honestly, if you're not really changing much like in your musical tastes, you're probably not really like, blossoming much in your whole life. Sorry, not meaning to sound like some sort of like snob or elitist or some sort of crunchy hippy dippy weirdo, but ultimately this is a reflection of like who you are as a person. Like this hobby you have and music as an art form, it's just like simpatico, it's symbiotic, you know what I mean? It's like we're all one, brothers and sisters. Get into it and try to get out of your comfort zone. Find something new and interesting. Don't be afraid. Toss aside those stigmas and start searching for weirdo stuff. You know what I mean? Concerning just artists and eras, sometimes I like for an entire 15 to 20 years of my life, I was just stuck in the 90s. I literally was. I was raised in the 80s and I came into adulthood in the 90s. And so early 90s and mid 90s rock and roll was my thing. And that's like kind of stayed that way. So all of those artists I latched onto, and rock and roll in the late 90s was just turning into absolute garbage and it scared me to death. So I just latched on to those 90s rock artists, those stalwart, artists. And I didn't really branch out for the better part of probably like almost 2 decades. And you know what? It's this fantastic hobby that got me into really taking deep dives and taking chances and like finding things that I am just so grateful that have entered my life, and they've just changed me, like all this wonderful just kind of like fusion music, of rock and jazz and world music and folk and just like progressive rock and just all this stuff that I never discovered until my like late 20s. So take a dive, try it. Probably right around like number 5 or something like that, maybe. I'm really screwing up these numbers. Try this. Try finding some independent labels. Even for you folks that aren't really necessarily in the know, I'm certainly not either. I'm a bit of a Luddite. I'm a bit of a weird generation, kind of like end of Generation X. And so, like I said, I held on to the 90s for dear life for way too long. And so when all this independent music started, like, kind of this resurgence of like kind of all the cool indie stuff that was happening throughout the 80s and early 90s, the stuff you would hear on college radio or whatever, now we just have this magical internet thing. everything, and just it's all being pumped at us light speed constantly. So yes, you have to be a lot more deliberate and a lot more, you really have to kind of dig for the stuff that you're into. But find these independent artists and check them out, give them a chance. And of course, like, again, they're independent artists, so they could use your support, they could use your money, and they love hearing from you. You can find these independent artists, or even artists that have signed to moderately large labels, like in their region or whatever. They may be big on their stage in their country or whatever, but from some weirdo who may live in small town wherever, getting a Facebook message or some message on some social media platform or something from some random weird dude in a corner of the world that they don't even know about, they love that stuff, and they love having conversations with you. Like, I've had conversations with like renowned artists, like guys who you would think are untouchable, but it's a world away to them, and it's I don't know. You really ought to try. Research independent artists, research independent, record labels, and find some really cool, interesting stuff that kind of really puts out sometimes selective types of, genres and people and artists, and sometimes it's just like, it's some random independent label that is just finding library music and just pressing library music. I've got a homie who lives right down the street from me that has his own independent record store, and that's what he does. He buys up music from all around the world, primarily Africa, and private presses his own stuff and has his own little record label. Shout out Little Axe Records, Springfield, Oregon, based also in Portland, Oregon. But yeah, search that stuff out. It's magnificent, and it gets you all excited to find all this really cool, intriguing stuff that you may have never known about. And I wanted to kind of say one more thing about that, because a big thing for me has not just been the YouTubes and the sharing of music. Like, sharing is caring, everybody. That's what we're here for. We're here to share our favorites with everyone, because we want you to find the same love and passion for that music that we feel. You know what I mean? But another big game changer for me that I've discovered in the last, maybe, I don't know, probably 7 years or something like that, is Bandcamp. Bandcamp is magnificent. Everybody go to bandcamp.com and start researching random cool genres or ideas, things that you like, and you'll find just a plethora of just incredible independent artists. Sometimes they only release tiny little MP3s for you to just kind of buy for $1, and sometimes it's some of the most magnificent stuff you'll ever hear from some kid in like Minnesota or whatever. He's from Twin Cities, and he just loves putting his stuff out there for the world to see, and it's great. You'll all, some of the bigger, heavier hitting artists too, they'll really make sure that they're publishing stuff on Bandcamp first, because they want to get their music into the hands of their true fans and people who actually follow them on that platform. So yeah, I entreat ye, please, everybody, go check out your favorite artists and groups and bands and stuff on Bandcamp, where you can get their merch directly from them. The money is going directly to them, every penny of it. I don't believe that Bandcamp as a platform takes any money from these artists. So that's the most important thing, obviously. Keep music independent and give every frickin' dollar you spend directly to that artist. Very important. So going on down this list again, where are we? Probably number 5, something like that. This is kind of beating a dead horse, I guess, in a sense, but just join a community. Join a community. Get on, the Facebooks or the Instagrammers and the TikTokers and all that stuff, the YouTube. Join the, the vinyl collectors community that's on YouTube, and just start, commenting and saying what's up, and just kind of involve yourself. It's a lot of fun. Again, I spent decades of my life just kind of ignoring all of this stuff that people do, sharing themselves on the internet. I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and start their own little YouTube channel, but I'm saying just get yourself involved. Even on a local, you can look in your local rag, whatever, bullshit hippie liberal rag you've got floating around your town on the ground. But just pick up that rag and look through it and there's probably a group of people that are advertising that hang out once a week at a coffee shop and talk about records. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you, especially in the bigger cities, there's going to be dozens upon dozens of them. Join a community, get yourself involved. It's a lot of fun. All types of enthusiast groups. And like I was just saying, beating this dead horse, discovery is the key element here, folks. Like, music discovery and sharing it with other people. That's where all the fun lies. And that's where the spark continues to fire, and it gets you all jazzed up about this fantastic hobby. Don't lose the fire inside, everybody. Okay, going on down the line again here, probably number 4. This is a big one for me. Maybe not for everybody, but it's a big one for me. Because what goes hand in hand with this kind of like, you know, kind of interesting, kind of, I guess you could call it eccentric type of hobby, you know, for snobs who like, you know, audiophile pressings and just kind of like the snobbery. The snobbery is there. I get it. To a certain extent, but I won't fully, I won't fully commit to that idea. But this was huge for me because this, like I said, goes hand in hand with kind of like the obsessive sort of compulsive nature of who we are and what we like and how we like it. And it's perfectly, you know, organized alphabetically, don't touch my record collection kind of thing. I'm sure anyone that's like a serious collector already obviously does this, but for you, some of you newbies or some of you kind of intermediary folks, like, buy a record cleaner. They make really, really awesome, yeah, dude, it's right here. I'll just show you my setup. It's very, very, very simple. It's called the what's it called? The MK2. I can't remember what exactly it's called. Yeah, the MK2 Spin Clean record washer. Dude, it's American made. It's like $40. And the only thing you ever have to buy is these little pads that go in the middle that, you know, it's actually like kind of the scrubber that cleans the record. Sometimes you got to replace those maybe once a year. I've had this thing for 5 or more years, maybe longer, and I've replaced them twice. And it's cost me $15 to replace those little pads, you know, and it's just got the little spindles here, and you can just spin your little record in the washer fluid, and then you have to buy a bottle of this fluid. The initial purchase comes with a small bottle, but yeah, every year, if you want to keep your situation buttoned up and your record clean, you got to buy a bottle of this every year, basically. And this will last you a whole year, and you can just wash hundreds upon hundreds of records, clean your records, and, you know, get yourself one of these silly little, you know, $1 from the Goodwill for, you know, filing in office spaces, that it doesn't touch a table or anything like that. You just set this right next to you, and you can file all your records neatly right here. It won't scratch them because this is just nice and rounded and soft, coated with some sort of, you know, whatever plastic, I don't know. Just get one of these stupid little things, and just after you clean them and they're wet, you dry them off with a microfiber cloth that you can buy at Walmart for $1 for 3 of them. And you just set them there, they air dry, and then you refile them, and they're nice and clean. They're static free. That's what's in this juice. It's magic. Get this stuff, y'all. It's magnificent. That's a huge one. It's fun for me. I find an immense amount of solace and peace. It's like a meditative practice, like I was saying. You folks, and if you're anything like me, you really enjoy like the meditative aspect. You put on a record, you listen to your favorite music, or while you're watching your television or whatever you're doing, clean your records, clean 20 records, and it makes you feel great. You just spin it 9 times this way, and then you spin it 9 times this way, and then you polish it the proper way, and then you set it in the thing, and then you clean the jacket with some Windex very lightly. And you know what I mean? The methodical, you know, meticulous nature of these things, like this, is half the fun for me. And that's a lot of the reason why I like to do vending. You know, because you buy these old junkers, and it's super fun to bring a pile of records home, you know, 20 records that you just got for a great bargain price, and they're all dirty and shit, and there's cat barf and boogers all over them. Oh, I found a freaking roach in this one, you know what I mean? You take them, you pull them all out, you give them a bath, you clean the jackets, you put a brand new paper inner in it, and it's like, oh, it's like having a brand new record. It's magic to me. I love it so much. It is almost half the fun of this hobby is just finding old junk shit and cleaning it up and making it better. I love it. So you guys might find the same joy in it, so give it a try. It's worth a shot, right? So that's a big one for me. And adding on to that, kind of a bit of an addendum to that idea, go out and spend some time and money if you can, if you're able to afford it, and get yourself, if you don't have, proper inner sleeves and proper outer sleeves if you're into that. Some people are hyper against that, and I get it. I like seeing the, you know, the texture and the luster of the jacket and the art totally unimpeded. I get that. The type I buy are the really nice, incredibly hyper translucent ones. They're very affordable. They're like $200 or 200 pieces for probably, I don't know, $28 or something like that online. But I especially like them. I like them to have no cloudiness. I like them to have a crisp sound. Some people, again, here we are at that really kind of like hyper focused kind of attention deficit type of weirdo kind of stuff, but I really like them to be hyper translucent, so even a little bit of an extra sheen to them, but not too much glare, and the crispiness on the outer edge. And like, you know, when I'm selling records, I turn them sideways like this so that they're filed perfectly, so nobody has to get their fingers caught on the top so they can file, you know what I'm really anal retentive about how I do my recs, guys. And I'm sure everyone has all their own little quirks as well. Sorry, my camera just took a dip on you guys there. Let's get you focused again. And so, like I said, everyone has their own weird little thing. And just really get into it. Take it to the hilt. Get all fresh paper inners. They're super cheap. They're freaking a nickel a piece, and it's worth it. Don't leave them in that, all those crummy old, dirty old, you know, inner sleeves that you get with used records. And what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, that's basically it. Try it. It's great. I like having them all in outer sleeves, polypropylene, and it'll save your ass in the event that you stub your toe on your coffee table and you spit, you know, a beer all over your entire record collection accidentally one day. Your daughter stumbles by and, you know, is sick that day and just pukes all over your record collection or something. Like, it's gonna save your records from being completely destroyed and covered in barf. Nobody likes that. So yeah, store your records properly, upright, like that, spine out, with polypropylene outer sleeves. Be a cool guy like me. All right, moving along down the line, only a couple more to talk about with you guys. Thanks for being good sports and hanging out with me tonight. I hope you're enjoying my silly list. Number 3 on this list is going to be, oh yeah, just again, something to just really kind of help keep your creative interest in this hobby and, you know, keep things kind of alive and trying new ideas, new ways to collect the records themselves to kind of keep you just like interested and buying new and interesting things. Search for original pressings. Like if you have something that, again, I'm not trying to be a hater or an elitist or some sort of dickhead, but it kind of bothers me a little bit, I guess you could say. Not trying to be a purist, but, you know, all of these recent releases and new pressings of everything, it's like, it's just getting them to be a little bit much. And they're all just way overpriced. It's like, you know, it's great to have these 90s albums released again and these albums from the early 2000s and stuff. But I mean, $40 and $50 for a Green Day record or something, like, really? Come on. Try your best, especially when it comes to music of the 60s, 70s, 80s. It's not that hard, and they're not that much more expensive. And they're going to sound far better because you're not going to have this thing that's just been kind of like recut from a copy, not a master, and how all that stuff. I don't even understand any of that stuff, to be quite honest. I'm not going to profess to be some sort of like learned individual about, you know, the true science of the production of these records and all that, because there's a lot about it that's crazy and I don't understand half of it. But I guarantee you, knowing this, and I've been a collector for a long time, these original pressings that were put out by the original, you know, release label, the original year and the original region or country they came from, they sound far better. So if you have these fantastic hits that you fell in love with, and you're like, oh man, I just love this album so much, it's just became a part of me, like, try something. Get online or talk to a guy at your local record store and be like, try to find an original pressing of that Echo and the Bunnymen album from '88 that you just adore. You know what I mean? It's going to cost you $30 rather than, well, it's probably $30 repress anyway. It's like, try to find an original pressing of it. It's fun. Along the same lines of, like audiophile pressings. And I know there's been a lot of like hoopla about that whole thing and the, what is it? The audiophile master pressing company. What are they called? I don't know. I don't remember. But there wasn't even there a lawsuit maybe or something like that about how they were putting these like high audio fidelity pressings out that were nothing of the sort, and they were actually all like digital masters and I don't know, whatever. But yeah, that type of stuff, that type of like really kind of hyper nerd shit. Like, try to find the original pressings or the European pressing, if it's a European group, if they're a British pop group or a punk group, like, try to find that original UK press. It's something that just adds an element of uber coolness, and you can invite that girl over and be like, yeah, I've got this original pressing Crass album. And you can talk about that, and then she'll definitely want to, kiss you. So that's a fun one. Okay, so working down this line, I'll try to button this up. I'm trying to keep it a little bit more short and sweet than I usually do. These hour-long, ridiculous episodes that I like to throw. Second on the list, again, it's kind of another point that I'm really kind of hammering home because it means a lot to me. I've been a musician most of my life. I've never really done anything of note per se. I've never been on LP, but I've put out some independent recordings in my day as a musician, and it means the world, again, to dudes and dudettes and whatevers like me, when someone buys your album, or when you have a local record shop that wants to consign 20 copies of your album for you. And that means so much. And I guarantee you, to all the rest of the artists in the world, it's the same. So shop local, buy local, find your local music, give them your money for their music, and do it again. Repeat, rinse and repeat, do it again and again. When you can, again, this is kind of like a divisive issue because I've already said how great it is to be able to kind of like sell on Discog and buy on Discogs and eBay and whatever else. But when you can, buy things in the wild, because again, we're talking about your personal journey and your personal, collecting, adventure. And if the thrill is gone and you're kind of losing that itch and you're kind of losing the fun, you got to invent it somehow. So you got to really reach out, talk to people locally, find the interesting stuff, the crazy weird stuff, find things in the wild rather than just seeking direct, what is that? Just that kind of direct dopamine thing that we're all kind of lusting towards these days. It's very easy to enjoy connectivity and instant access to everything. By all means, go check out seek out new things and find new things on the interwebs. But when it comes to the buying process and making sure your money kind of goes to the right spot, nothing irks me more than these MFers online just talking about showing off their cool record collection. They just, 3 different pressings with marbled wax from Walmart, and Amazon's got great deals. So really, you got to search on President's Day for the great deals on Amazon, guys. That's how you do it in this business. It's nothing makes me want to vomit more than that. And again, I'm sorry to all you guys that's kind of your bag on your channel. You talk about record collecting and how to keep it alive and how to get a great deal and what not to do at record stores and this and that. And it's I'll tell you just one thing. Don't fucking buy your records at Walmart, okay? Don't buy records from Target, all right? Take that shit and shove it. Walk down to your local record store and give them all your money. And you're going to pay $3 more for that Taylor Swift record. Okay? Give the guy at the record store $3 extra for your Taylor Swift. And if they don't have any more, tell him to call his supplier and order more. It'll be there in a week. Because guess what? Mr. Mail Truck Driver, he's out there every single day busting his balls too to try to make money so that he can buy his kids pepperoni pizzas. Like, come on, guys. Just do it. Buy into this. Quit buying all your shit at these big box stores that don't care about you and your local situation. And you're only going to save a few bucks. Like, get real. Get real. Whatever. So that's that. Sorry about my nasty little spit in there. Okay, I'll button it up, guys. This has been a lot of fun. Here's me closing with my final tip of the evening. Tip number 1. Again, bringing this to kind of a more personal note, personal page here in the book of my situation. I've done this out of necessity, and I've done this many times out of just sheer willingness to do it, because I know the type of person I am, the type of collector I am. And me, personally speaking, I like to purge. I like to purge things out of my life that no longer either bring me any joy, or things that just literally physically get in my way, or anything that may just kind of be any type of hindrance or just gather dust, for any better lack of the term. I don't know. Just like, be okay with it. Try it. Just try it. And I know that, again, that's hard. Some of you folks really, that's a huge part of your personality, is just kind of amassing a really impressive, big, beautiful collection that you can because just to stare at that, trust me, guys, I know. I've had 1,300 records, and God, I loved staring at that wall. I loved staring at that wall. And it was grand. I get it. But it wasn't very long before I lost the fire. I lost the urge, because I just had too much. When you have too much in your life, you become desensitized. It is proven, tried and true by science. And, there may be some denial in your head. There may be some denial in my head. But I'll just tell you, out of my own personal experience, I feel so much better when I go through my collection once a year, maybe twice a year. And it's kind of more often for me because, like I said, again, I do vending on the side, and I sell on platforms and this and that. So it's not constant. I'm not like selling huge amounts. I don't own my own record store, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, obviously, right? But just try it and see how you feel. Try bagging up just 50 of them. 50 of them, and see how you feel when you go down to your record store and you sell them to your local record provider. And he's happy as a pig in shit, because he just got a big bag of 50 cool records that he's going to give you, 30 or 40% of what they're worth. And he's going to turn around and make a fantastic profit and do wonderful things for other people who now want to buy those records. And he's going to get, his surplus of, profit from it. And it just starts that whole cycle all over again. Try it, guys. I've purged out of just wanting to do it, selling. I've sold giant chunks at a time. I've sold 3, 4, 5. I think I sold a 600-piece collection a couple years ago, just because I was like, dude, I know I'm not going to enjoy any of these. I'm never going to have time to listen to them. They're just going to gather dust. It was neat having them for the couple years that I had them, and I showed them off on my channel, and I got to play it for a girl that one time, or whatever. I gave that one to my sister, and that's what it's for. It's for sharing with others, guys. This is for sharing with others. Don't keep it to yourself, man. And I get it. If you do, and that's your thing, and it's something to be had simply because it just means the world to you and you need it for you, stay healthy. That's good. If that's what makes you healthy, that's good. Good on you. But I want you to try it. Try purging. I had to do it out of necessity recently, and I had to sell literally my entire collection for financial reasons. And to be quite honest, I didn't have that much of a hard time doing it. I didn't. And I like my things just as much as you guys do, too. I like my things, and I want to keep my things. But you know what? I kept I think 15. I kept 15 records that I would not part with. Go ahead and look back in my video history and check that video out. Yeah, there was 15 records out of like hundreds and hundreds. Well, at the time I sold that collection, I think I had 800, and I kept 15. I lie. No, I kept the catalog. I have 2 small catalogs that I kept because I'm not gonna. No one wants the Windham Hill catalog. No one will buy that. I have the entire Windham Hill catalog, and another small catalog that I collected of classical music. But I love it for the art. So yeah, there it is. Just kind of like hitting the nail on the head way too many times. Just try it, guys. Purge, see how you feel. It feels magnificent. When you have that like cluttered closet full of shit that's been sitting there for 2 years and you're like, why do I even have any of this stuff? It's the same feeling. It feels great. So them's my tips, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope maybe some of these things you folks will try. And it does. It helps keep the spirit alive, and it keeps the fire inside. Don't lose the light. Don't lose that glimmer in your eye. Everybody, keep collecting and keep enjoying and keep sharing. Keep talking to me about your favorite music. Show me your videos. Show me all your stupid prog records. Show me, all of your kitsch. Show me all of your collectibles. I love that stuff. So stay nerdy, keep them clean, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Later.